Hey everyone, how's it going? I just want to give you guys a little what's in my disc golf bag update after about 3 years. Last time we talked, I threw a lot of Innova, a lot of Discraft. I was carrying a Fade tourney bag. A lot's changed in a lot of time. So now I'm rocking the Latitude 64 backpack, and I'm gonna go over the discs that I'm carrying with me anymore. So last time I talked to you guys, I believe I was carrying putter wise was uh, Challengers. And since then, I've gotten away from the Challengers and went back to the beaded putter. And what fit me best was the Dynamic Disc Judge. So I had a I had a Crystal Flex Challenger and then a Crystal Challenger. I was using the Crystal for the approach and the Crystal Flex for the short putts. Now I'm using two classic blends. I believe these are the hards for the approaches, and then basically an identical replacement to the Crystal Flex's Dynamic Disc Fluid plastic. This has been great. I really like the way this feels in comparison to the Crystal Flex that Discraft has. Very comparable. Feels the same way. Hits the chains the same way. So it was a nice adjustment with going to a beaded putter. From there, I also carry one other putter with me, and that's the Ace Race '09 disc. That became the Focus, but I don't feel like these throw the same way as a Focus do. It's a beaded putter. It's something I had in a box for years. Well, after Ace Race '09, and decided to pull it back out after I went back to beaded. This is a great overstable putter that I use for approaches when I got a headwind or anything else that I have to fight. I definitely go to this thing whenever it gets the chance to get used. For mid ranges, I am throwing. Previously, I had been throwing a drone and straight buzz. Those were the only two that I have in my bag. Since then, the drone has been replaced with DD Justice. Super, super overstable, just like the drone was. Something that's used for situational flicks to get out of tight spots, that sort of thing, to get around trees, stuff like that. That's what I mostly run to the Justice for. I still carry a Buzz with me. It's actually, I believe it's the only other Discraft disc besides for that '09 Ace Race putter that I still have, and it's a Buzz. Gotta have it. Something that I'm used to. I've thrown a Buzz since the first day I ever played disc golf, and I will continue for a long time. I still have 3 or 4 extras in boxes sitting around in case anything happens that are already broke in. Gotta keep them. Gotta have them. I have recently picked up a DD Truth. Um, since Eric McCabe was throwing Buzz and went to DD, he basically needed a replacement for a Buzz, and they created the Truth. For me, the Truth is a little bit more versatile than a Buzz. I think the Truth flies further than a Buzz tends to. Um, a Truth will hold a line better than a Buzz will. You hyzer a Buzz, it doesn't quite have that same like flight path as a Truth would. A Truth definitely holds the line through a hyzer, holds the line through an anhyzer, will do whatever that you ask it to, which I like. It's been cool. I haven't had a whole lot of time um, behind the handle of throwing a Truth around, but I like it. Let's see. Yeah. As far as drivers, when I last done what's in my disc golf bag, I was throwing almost strictly forehand, and kind of gotten away from it because I've obviously gotten more distance out of backhand, more versatile um, throws out of backhand, and um, one of the last times I played disc golf, it put me out of playing for about a year. I pinched a nerve in my hip throwing forehand, and from that point forward, I wanted to get away from it just to avoid injury. Um, but I still occasionally throw a forehand. It's rare, usually situational. Um, but I do keep a couple flick discs still in my bag, and those would be these two here. Uh, something that I threw religiously when I was throwing forehand is my Metal Flake T-Devil. These things are great, straight out, fall to the right every time. Definitely love that. A slightly different pattern, not flight pattern, not too much, is the Discmania PD2. One of two Discmania discs I've ever liked. Something that I've had in my bag forever. It's gummy. It's beat-in. It flies nice. Flick situation only. For backhand, overstable discs, I am throwing. Let's see here. I'm throwing one of the newer ones, Saint Pro. Picked this up in a trade. Wanted to give it a shot. And this has been something that it S's out real big, cuts back real hard to the left. Love it. It's nice. It's been real good for me in the short time I've had it. Other than that, for my long distance rips, overstable, I throw a World. I carry two of them, 175, 176. One's a VIP plastic, one's a tournament plastic. They've been good. I really like Westside discs. They've been really reliable. The Westside for me always, or the World always overstable, always lands to the left. Something I can rely on through a rip, especially when it comes to like avoiding an OB on the right or water or a tree on the right. Rip it out, falls to the left every time. Absolutely reliable in that. A little bit slower, a little bit less distance on that. I'm throwing a Westside Giant. I carry two of those as well. Just something that it glides a little bit further. It has a little bit more glide than the World, a little less speed. Still overstable, stays overstable, has the same amount of fade as the World. It's just if I'm afraid that I might overshoot with the World, I'll go back to the Giant, run with that. Something that I've been using for fairly straight but big S curves, slightly back to the left, but something that S is real hard, is the Lat 64 Havoc. That has been so fun to throw. I throw it on an Annie, comes out real big S, just comes back nice and smooth, lands middle. It's been great. My other two big S discs have been the Escapes. I carry a Fluid and I carry a Lucid. They've been good. They S out real big. They're fun to throw. The glide is incredible on these discs. If you have not thrown an Escape, give it a shot. It's fun. You have a good time throwing it. I've never heard anybody complain about throwing an Escape. They're very fun and very versatile discs. Straight shot, controllable fairway drivers. I'm throwing a River, and the other disc that I do that for is the other Discmania disc I have is an FD, the Simon Lizotte signature disc. These are both good, both fun. I tend to throw the River a little bit more than the Simon Lizotte. This has not been used a whole lot in my bag. It's something I'm just trying to see if I can venture outside of what I find comfortable to give it a shot. So that's been a newer disc that's been thrown a very small handful of times. The River 2, low ceilings. Love to throw this. Love to get that low ceiling approach nice and straight. Light, like very light fade to the left at the end. It's been sweet. It's been a lot of fun. Understable discs. If I need a big rip on an understable disc, I throw the Westside King. A lot of my Kings that I've had have flown slightly differently, almost every one. I've thrown a tournament plastic one that was just, no matter how hard you ripped on it, understable 100% of the time. No problems with that. You could throw them on a hyzer, they'd stand up over understable all day. No change. This one's a little bit more versatile. If I throw a hyzer on it, it'll stand up. It can hyzer back if there's a wind. It can go understable. If I throw it on an Annie, it's staying on an Annie. It doesn't come back. It won't stand up. It won't go left. I do like this, though, when I rip on it and get it understable. And that goes the same way with my DD Freedom. I carry that for the understable disc. give it a hard rip. I got no trees in the way. Nothing's going to get in my way of ripping this thing. I freaking grab it, rip on it hard, understable 100% of the time. When these discs being the Speed 14 disc, both of them, if you don't attain that speed of 14 coming out of your hand with the rip, they do not fly like they should. They're not understable. They'll be overstable. They'll come back to the left. They're more subject to wind, I feel, when you're not throwing it hard. If I cannot throw my Freedom 100% on a rip, then I don't throw it because it acts all sorts of crazy when I don't. And then my last two discs that I carry for understable, I carry a Northman. This thing has been so fun. I love this disc so much. I throw it on a hyzer. It'll stand up, go back to the left. It's a lot of fun. Big far distance. Not as far, obviously, as the Giant or the World or the King, but it's really, really fun. I ripped this thing like 330 foot with minimal effort last week. Been really good. Picked this up on a trade for just dirt cheap, so that was cool. And then my last disc is my oldest disc in the bag, and I have a first run Katana. This thing is so beat in. It's been through 3 different owners, I believe. I picked it up. I've held on to it since. It's been great. It's fun. It's versatile. At the same time, it's incredibly understable when you rip on it real hard. This thing will stand up, stay to the right, 100% of the time as well. It's a little bit slower than the Freedom. If I'm looking for understable, less distance, I'll go with the Katana. Just seems to be what works for me. So yeah, a lot of my discs have transitioned from Innova Discraft to the Trilogy series. I'm throwing a lot of West Side, a little bit of Dynamic, and a few Lat 64. I carry a couple Discraft still, a couple Innova, just because they're old. I've had them forever. I really haven't thrown much of the newer release Innovas because I've been so preoccupied with throwing different Trilogy series discs, especially with relocating. I lived in Michigan 3 years ago and I did an update. Now I live in Kansas City. There's a DD store down the street. They have an awesome deal going on over there. So yeah, I really like the Trilogy series. They've offered a lot of discs. They cover a lot of bases that I feel like disc golf wasn't covering before. Not to mention that Dynamic disc tournaments are great. They're run incredibly well, and they're a lot of fun. So yeah, that's a little update on what's in my disc golf bag. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below. I'll answer them as fast as I can. Thanks.